I'm Tangela with Giagatt's Country Kitchen. Today I'd like to just welcome you into my kitchen. We're going to cook together some cinnamon rolls. Now there's different steps to this, and the first part of it is to make the roll dough. You know, this dough is very special to me. There's just so many good memories around this with my family, and I hope to enjoy this, that you can enjoy this recipe with your family as well. So we're going to dive into this because we've got to go step by step. And I made this recipe up years ago. It does not have eggs in it, and it has dairy-free butter in it, but it is not gluten-free because I am using a King Arthur bread flour in it. Now you can use a gluten-free flour to substitute in this, and it's cup by cup if you get that flour. And I will be doing a video on that one as well. But for right now, the very first step that I want you to take is the flaxseed that we are going to be using. I have a whole flaxseed, and it is a golden flaxseed. It's the one I prefer to bake with because it has a much better flavor to it. So the first step that you'll do is go ahead and grind up 2 tablespoons of flaxseed and mix it with 3/4 cup of cold water. Now what that does, and this is what I have right here, what that is it takes the place of eggs in your baked goods. And you see how it has the consistency of an egg, and it has just a really great flavor to to your recipe. It does great. So if you don't like the flaxseed, you can use the juice from garbanzo beans, and we'll get into that at a later time, but it is a alternate that you can use. So let's go over our ingredients real quick. So first of all, we're going to have 1/3 cup of sugar, 1.5 teaspoon of salt. We're going to have 1 tablespoon of yeast. Now the type of yeast that I'm using in the recipe, and there's several kinds that you can get. You can use this kind as well. You know, just your regular yeast from the grocery store, what have you. This one is an instant yeast. I've used it for years. And the difference is it's not as temperature sensitive as a lot of yeast is. So where some yeast will not start activating unless it's up to a heated temperature of no more than 130 degrees. This one, even if your liquids in your recipe is cooler, it will still activate. You don't want to put ice water directly on the yeast. Just as you cannot put hot water, boiling water on yeast, it will kill it. But we will be using 2 tablespoons of yeast, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to go ahead and open this yeast, and what I like to do is just put it into a glass jar. See how it opens up nice and fresh, and I like to pour that into a glass jar and keep it in your freezer. You may have to put it in more than one jar if you got a whole bag, but that will show you what I'm talking about. And just seal it up real good and just store this in the freezer. Any yeast that you have, if you do not immediately use it, put it in your freezer and it will keep for years to come. Where if you leave it on your shelf, it will go out and will not work properly. You need to test your yeast beforehand. So anyway, we'll go on with our ingredients now. We're going to have 1 tablespoon of yeast. We're going to have about 4.5 to 5 cups of flour, 1 cup of milk, and I'm using an almond milk. We're going to have 1/4 cup of butter. And then we have the 2 tablespoons of the flax with 6 tablespoons or 3/4 cup of cold water. And that will make the basis for our cinnamon roll dough. So let's get started. Once you have your flax ground in your cold water, and you just let it set while you get everything else ready. I usually go ahead and mix that up right when I'm getting all my ingredients out, so it just has time to really set and come together and make a really good thick mixture. The next thing, we're going to go ahead and heat up our milk, and we're going to, what I like to do is go ahead and put my butter in it as well. And I just heat them up together. And I will show you how to test it. You can get a thermometer, or you can do the test that I'm going to show you on your temperature. Okay? And we're just going to get this heated up. We'll go ahead and let the butter melt in it. And you can go ahead and heat your butter just till it's melted, and then pour the milk right into the pot, and that makes it a little faster. But if you want to, do it this way, it's fine as well. But cinnamon rolls is a comfort food and it just has so many things that you can do with. We're gonna roll these up, and we can add raisins. You can do cinnamon pecan rolls. You can do cranberry orange, blueberry lemon. There is just so many that you can do. And what I plan to do here, all works out good, is I'm going to show you this basic roll, cinnamon roll dough, and then I'm going to show you a couple other videos of ways that you can make your own toppings and be able to make all the other types of cinnamon rolls and rolls as well. So it'll be really great. This is starting to melt. And the way that you can tell if your milk is warm enough is you want to be able to put your pinky, just the tip of your pinky, right down into the milk there, just right on top. And if you can hold it there and count to 5, then it's ready. If it's too hot, then you know you've went too far. And this is perfect. So we're going to cut this off. There we go. Cut that off. Let me move this out of the way. And I'm just going to let that set there and let the butter continue melting in it good. Okay? Our next step. Okay, we're going to take our flour, and I'm going to take about 2 cups of the flour and put it into our bowl. And I have a large bowl here. It's way bigger than what you would actually need, but you'll understand why I have that in just a moment. Because when you're kneading this dough and you're working this dough, you need room, and this bowl really lets you be able to get in here and to work it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put the sugar. We have 1/3 cup of sugar. Okay, we're going to put the salt. We've got 1½ teaspoon of salt in this. Okay. Now, what sugar does in a recipe, and you can use honey in place of the sugar if you would like, but what the sugar does in this recipe is it feeds the yeast, and it causes that lift and that growth, and that's what we want. We want it to make our dough light and fluffy. So I'm going to go ahead, mix that up a little bit, because what you don't want is to just directly get that yeast just laying with salt right on top of it. You want to keep that from happening. So the best way to do that is to just stir your sugar and your salt and your flour together. Okay, now we're going to take and put 1 tablespoon of our yeast in. And just blend it around. Now I'm not proofing this, I'm just using it directly. If you're not sure about your yeast, what you can do, if I was using this yeast here, um, or the little packets you get from the grocery store, I would go ahead and put that right here on top of my milk and butter. And what you should see happening is you'll start seeing this foaming, this like it starts growing. The yeast starts growing, and you'll see it on top of it, and you'll know it's alive and it's good. So if you're not sure about your yeast, then you may want to make sure by doing that. Okay? So now that we have our yeast in here, and we have our sugar, our salt, our yeast, and our flour, now we're going to add in our, uh, take our milk and our butter, and we're going to add the flaxseed and the water to the milk and the butter. Now, if you got your, by chance you got your milk or your butter too hot, this flaxseed will cool it down some. So, and that's, it'll make it, come down a little bit, and that'll get it right for you. Because you don't want it scalding hot. Like I say, if just a little tip of your finger can get in there, then, and you can hold it there for 5 seconds, then you got it perfect. And that's all you got to do. You don't have to whip out no thermometers or anything like that. Just pull it together. All right, let me get some of this out of the way here. Okay. All right. And let me put my salt right back in my beautiful tray that my husband has designed for Valentine's. And if y'all are interested in having a nice wooden tray, I will be showing them shortly. And he can make them up for you and even put your name in it. It'll be great. All right, so what you're going to do, you're going to start working this flour. Now, when you're making yeast breads, it's not like whenever we're doing baking powder in our breads and making quick breads. The difference is we want the gluten to come out of the flour with our yeast breads. Where with our baking powder, which are called quick breads, we do not want all that gluten being activated in the flour. So we're doing the opposite here. We're going to work it. So I'm just getting this started working. And don't be afraid to get your hands down in your dough, because you're going to have to make really a good kneading bread if you're doing it by hand. Now, some people may want to do this in their mixer. That's fine. You can do that. I like to make my breads by hand. I will every now and then, in certain kinds of yeast breads, I will go ahead and make in my stand mixer. Okay, so what we're going to start doing now is we're going to start working in flour until we get a nice ball formed. Okay, so I'm just going to start sprinkling in around this mixture. Okay, and I'm going to sprinkle some on top here, and then make sure you get your hands good and coated. Okay, and you're just going to start working this, coming around, and while you're doing it, you're pulling flour in under the dough so that the dough is not just sticking to you or the bowl. So we're going to start working it and pushing it. This is a very nice soft dough. You can make a lot of things with this particular recipe. You can make rolls, by just dinner rolls with it. You can make pizza crust with it. There's just a lot of things you can make and it is a great, great taste and texture to this dough. You will love. All right, we're going to start just bringing this in, and every now and then just get the stickies off your hands. Just bring it in and just rub you some flour And bring this together and push. Bring it and push. This is how you knead your bread. It's very relaxing. It's part of the fun part of making bread. You know, we're losing so much of the knowledge of how to do these things nowadays. It's just not being handed down. It's not being taught. So I sure hope you'll give this a try. And what you want to do when you're kneading, a lot of people says, well, I just don't know how to knead. Let me put a little more flour in here because you don't want it to be sticky and stuck to the bowl. So you keep enough flour in there that you don't have to have it sticky. And you're going to take your hand, pick that dough up, flip it over, and then push it away from you. Just like you're just saying, whoa, get back. And then you pull it up and push it, turn the bowl, pull it up and push it. And you just keep working that dough. And we want it to be able to form a ball that when we press the top of it, it bounces back. And I will show you that. So we're just going to get in here and work that dough. Takes a few minutes. That's okay. Just put your love in it. Think about all the people that you're wanting to share this with. Think about the good eating you're going to get out of it. Think about the smiles on them grandkids' face, or your children. And just get in there and have a good time with cooking. That's what it's about. I've always loved cooking. It was always my little escape, my little place to get in there and create and enjoy and have a good time doing it. And cinnamon rolls was some of my kids' favorite. But not only that, in our in our ministry work that we've done, we used to make cinnamon rolls and send them out and give them to people. And boy, did they love it. All right, get all that dough down in there. Okay. And we're losing some of that stickiness. You see, it's not sticking to my hand so much. And this gives you a little workout. Good for you. And like I said, if you don't want to do this part and you want to make it quick, throw it in your mixer and put the dough hook on it, and it'll do it for you. Almost there. Once we get this worked, we are going to put it in a greased bowl, and it's going to have to rise for about 45 minutes to an hour. And we'll be able to get the icing ready and get everything ready for our cinnamon rolls while we're waiting. What you want to do is just check your dough and flour your fingers and push it. And if it bounces back like that, you know you've worked it enough. And then you just roll this over into a ball. And what we're going to do is we're going to grease a bowl, and we're going to put that down in it. Let me clean my hands a little bit here. Okay, so I can get that bowl. We're going to be handling it some more, so as long as we keep everything nice and clean. That's cooking is all about keeping things nice and clean. Okay, and we're going to take just a little bit of butter here. There's my spoon. Whoop. And I'm going to put that down in the bowl. Don't take much. And I just like to grease that bowl up real good. All of the sides, all over. And you can do it in the same bowl there as what you have here. So rub some butter together and put it all over your dough here. and just fold in underneath. Make a nice ball like that. And this is going to at least double in size. Okay? Take a little bit more butter. And what the butter does is it helps to keep your dough from crusting over and not being able to rise more. We want to keep the top of it nice and soft. There you go. And then we're going to cover that with a towel and just let that rise. Set it in a warm place. And just, while you're cooking, while you're doing what have you, you can whip this part up, go run and cook your meal, and just let this rise. And then we'll be back in just a little bit, and I'll show you how to make cinnamon rolls out of it. All right, now we're going to work on the icing while our dough is rising. Right now, I have our dough just with a cloth over, and it's rising right here. If you put it in a nice warm spot and just let it double. So while we're waiting, I thought we'd just go ahead and work on the icing. You can't have cinnamon rolls without some good old icing. So to start off with, I'm going to put 2 cups of powdered sugar in my bowl. Okay. And you can do this, and as I will show you whenever we make some of the other videos with like the blueberry lemon, uh, you can make this ice and lemon flavor. You can add almond flavor, and instead of vanilla in it, like when we do our chocolate cherry rose that I'm going to show you for Valentine's. Um, and you just use the same roll dough, and you use this basic style of making the icing as well. So I'm just going to set that there a minute. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a teaspoon of my vanilla powder. And if all you have is vanilla extract, that's fine. That's just more of a liquid, so it's going to, be part of what your measurements would be for your liquid. Now, I'm going to give you some estimated amounts because when you mix this together, you just be surprised at how much the temperature and moisture and everything affects what you're doing here. So, just play it safe by putting a little bit at a time in, and that's what we're going to learn. So, to this mixture, I have some butter that is softened, and I'm going to add about a quarter of a cup into this mixture. I'm not going to measure, I'm just going to do it by eye. So, okay. And you're just going to start working it into the powdered sugar and vanilla that we have here. Okay. And just get it worked up in there. Sort of like, when you're making other like biscuit dough and you're working the butter into the flour. So we're basically doing that. And we're just breaking it up into, ooh, look at me making a mess. Gotta have a little mess to have some good. Okay. Alright, so now what we're going to do is add just a little bit of milk and just do like a tablespoon at a time. And just start working that in and letting it come together and pulling all of the powdered sugar down in here. Okay. And you want the icing to be thick. And the reason we put butter in it is because when we top those hot cinnamon rolls, the little bit of butter that we have in this and the powdered sugar is going to be able to melt slightly. And so you want this really thick so that it will stay on top and just drizzle down them cinnamon rolls and make them really good. Okay, I'm going to add in now 1 more cup of powdered sugar. And you see we've got a pretty good consistency, but I want it a little more flow in here. And powdered sugar um, is going, it's going to make this thin out a little bit more too after we get everything mixed in. So put just a little more in here. And you can make your own powdered sugar. So if you're like, oh man, I don't have no powdered sugar in there, it's okay. If you have a coffee grinder or anything that will grind up really fine, you can just take your regular sugar and just put that in there, and just grind it up, and it will make powdered sugar. Okay, let's see, this is pretty stiff. Just keep working it and keep working it. Let it come together. It's almost like you do the same thing here when you're making candy for weddings. The little wedding mint candies, you make them almost the same way, except you would make them quite, a bit thicker. They're really fun to make though. All right, now we've got it. You see how when I'm pulling my whip through, it's pulling the icing with it? That's the consistency we want. That way, we put this on them cinnamon rolls, then it's going to melt enough to just sort of flow down on the cinnamon rolls, but it's going to leave enough on top that it will glaze them and they'll set up. And that way, even like when you're storing them or what have you, or putting them in a container, they don't just stick to the container. They have a barrier there. But one of the main things, the reason why you want to put a glaze or butter on biscuits or a glaze on cinnamon rolls is it makes them stay fresh longer. And that's really important. So we will be back in just a bit. I'm just going to put this aside, and then when the dough gets ready, we're going to punch that dough down and roll it out, and then we're going to make some good cinnamon rolls for you and bake them up, and it'll be great. I'll see you in just a bit. All right, are you ready to see this? Let's unveil it. Looky there. It's risen up really big. Look at the air bubbles. There you go. See how it bounces? That's what we want it to do. Okay, we're going to do what is called punching it down. Let me get the towel out of the way here. Okay, to punch it down, all you're going to do is just put your hand right in the middle of it, push everything over, and work it just a little there. And you see how where we grease the bowl, it keeps the dough right there away from it. Okay, and after you punch it down, you just let it rest a second while you get some flour put on our mat here. And we're going to roll this out on. Okay. Let's see if that'll sit there. And you don't want to add a huge amount of flour. You just want enough to keep things from sticking so bad. And just when you go to roll it up, it's real important that you be able to have a little flour up under the roll so that it will not stick to the mat and not, come up. So now what we're going to do with this dough is we're going to stretch it just a little bit and just lightly massage it a little bit and let it just sort of fall down, almost like if you were going to do a little pizza dough. Okay, what this does is start taking shape, and that's what we want it to do. Now we're going to roll this out. Let me move some of our ingredients over so we have plenty of room to work. Okay, I'm going to take my rolling pin and I'm going to sprinkle a little flour on it and just lightly over the top of this. And just start rolling out. If you come from your middle part and come over and you see it's sort of bouncing back, that's okay. It'll get better as it relaxes. And we're going to make a rectangle. It's going to end up being about 18 inches by 15-inch rectangle. And sometimes you have to just sort of stretch your dough a little bit and let it relax, let it pull in. You want the dough to work with you. You can work yourself and work yourself and work yourself, but until this dough is ready to relax and stretch, it'll just give you fits with it. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to push down on it, and I'm letting it relax a little bit while I'm doing this. I started out baking bread when I was really young. I actually worked at a Morrison's cafeteria. I don't even know if they're still in business. And I used to work in the bread room. And oh my goodness, I thought it was amazing. I had an older lady. She taught me all about making bread. And she was just so wonderful. And she done such a good job. And we made every kind of bread imaginable. And that's where it started out, my love for making bread. See, we got a little bit of a fat edge here, but it comes in right here. And you got a little thin spot there, so you got to be careful. We want to work and massage it in the direction that we want it to go. It takes a minute because it has to relax. And in general, like when you punch it down, if you have time to let it sit there a few minutes, like 5 minutes, it'll really, relax. But when we done all that kneading, we got all that gluten going in the flour, and then the yeast and all being activated with all the rising. We've just got so many things chemically working. Remember, I told you, cooking is like science. It's just a science class. There's chemical reactions that take place that makes everything possible. Okay, well, I got this like this, and the dough is working a little bit. What I like to do, just to keep it good, I'm going to put a little bit of flour on here, and I'm going to fold this over, and I'm just going to turn it a little bit. And I'm just relaxing and pulling and just getting it to do what it needs to do. But once you get it to this point, it's really thin enough. We could go with, this is probably more like 12 to 14 inches. This mat here is almost 15 right here, if you notice, from here to here. And I've got this hanging over. So we're probably about 14 right now, which is fine. But the thinner that you get it like that, you give it plenty of butter and cinnamon on it. It really, you just get more of the flavor into your cinnamon rolls rather than just really thick bread without anything on it. So, and that's what we're wanting to do. So we can always pull these corners back out when we go to roll it up. And you see I got a little fat spot right here. I'm going to push it over here where it's thin. Okay, and we're going to go with this. Stretch her out there. Now, I took some butter and I've had it setting out to soften. And we're just going to cover this whole area with some butter. And just get it all nice and coated. Because this is what's going to, hold the cinnamon. And we're going to do these cinnamon rolls up. So we need this butter to help do that. And you're going to have to coat them good. I know it adds more calories, and yeah, you can skimp on it, but you'll be skimping on flavor too. If you're going to do a cinnamon roll, you just know you're going to do a cinnamon roll. You may have to cut something else for the day. Okay. There we go. That looks good. We'll lay that right there. And then you see it's still trying to give a little resistance there, but that's all right. All right, next we're going to cover this with good old cinnamon and coat it good. All right, don't be afraid to put it on there because it's going to have a lot of layers by the time we're done when we roll it up. Every roll makes a layer. Okay. Now what you're going to do is take some sugar and just sprinkle it all over it really good. And at this point, if you want raisins or pecans or anything else that you might want in here, cranberries, orange flavoring, orange peel, and or even I'm going to show you how to make a sauce that we're going to put on it. This is where you would put it. But I'm just going to do this one basic so you can get the general idea. But you could cast you some raisins on here. But what we're going to do is you're going to take right here and just pull you a line back and make some little fingerprint line. And then you're going to flip it and keep it pulled tight while you're rolling. And just give it a pull. Okay? Like that. And that's your first run. And then just start rolling it over. And just sort of fold and roll. And just keep it all pulled. So you want to make sure, check out your line, see if your distances are good. And keep it around about what you need it, because it'll want to start fattening up and getting really long. And you're going to stretch it out some even after you roll it. Because see how it's thicker right here? So we're going to end up, pulling this and stretching it a little more as we're rolling it, because this side is thinner. But we're just going to keep an eye because it may thicken up on this side. So you just keep on pulling it like this. Get your ends, keep your end tucked in. Keep this pulled out. And stay in control of the size of the dough and what you got. And just keep pulling it in tight. You sort of do like a pinchy pull. Okay. Now we need to make sure and get this side all caught up with that side. Keep that in. Keep pushing that in. And see, when it gets too fat, just sort of push it down a little bit. Let's get our dough all right here from the middle, coming out. And get all the way up here to almost the end of it. Now you're going to take that dough and you're going to bring it over and you're going to pinch it. Pinch it together. Make sure you keep it snuggy. You don't want that last part to just be real loose, because then when it starts rising, it'll just come, and you'll have a big air gap in there where it won't be together. Okay. All right. Now what you want to do is you want to get a log that's about the same thickness all the way down. And you notice it was a little skinnier on this end than this end. So now I've got it about the same. See how that is? And you make sure your seam is all really good. We're going to roll this over and put it seam side down. Now, and it'll always want to sort of go that way. So that first cut that we make in this, we make this first one a little thicker than the others. I like to cut mine about 1 inch thick. And you see we're from side to side on this mat now. So we've got a good side. All right, let me move some of this and I'm going to show you a technique and how to cut these cinnamon rolls. And it's one of the big mistakes that people often make is they do not cut these cinnamon rolls where they stay fat and fluffy. All right. I have a baking pan here. And I just put a piece of parchment paper on it. And what I did, you'll notice that parchment paper, I put a little spray on it because I want the bottoms of my cinnamon rolls to brown even on the parchment paper good. And that will do it. I like to do that, and that way when they're done baking and all the goody stuff and the syrupy stuff from all the cinnamon and sugar starts coming out, it don't ruin my baking sheet. I just throw this parchment paper away and we're done. Now, you think, well, what's she fixing to do with thread? Are we going to be sewing now? No, but get you a piece of thread, get you a color you can see up against the work area that you're working, okay? And get you one big enough that you can take and hold it and twist it around your fingers like that. And what you're going to do is just going to come in and you're going to put your fingers on both sides of that string and you're going to slide it up under your cinnamon roll. Now this first one I'm going to make a little bit bigger because it's leaning. And then you cross your thread and you pull it through. Okay? And then we have a cinnamon roll that hasn't been sawed on and cut and smushed and all that. Now when you go to put cinnamon rolls on a pan, take your finger, push up in the center while holding the round of the cinnamon roll. What that does is it allows the cinnamon roll to rise up and be tall and big on your paper. And make sure and leave, because this is gonna rise. And it's going to get, a nice size cinnamon roll. This end of our cinnamon roll is still a little thicker than this other, but it's okay. We'll get it. I'm going to put a little flour out here on my mat. One thing to help my string stay coated. And another thing is you will see the end of these gets a little sticky. So here we are. We're putting a little flour on our string from our hand. We are holding this. Take your fingers like this. Come down on the mat and go up under the cinnamon roll. Just rock it back and forth. And we're going to do about 1 inch. It can be a little bigger, what have you, thick. Okay? And we're just going to do every one of these like that. We're going to push up in that center. Hold this. And I'm going to put 3 across on this pan. All right, here we go. I'm going to get some of these cut in just a moment after we get these all risen up, and I'll show you. And then we'll put them in the oven, get them baked, and have those all ready for eating. Okay, we're back. Let's see how they have risen. It's been about 40 minutes. It's a little cool in my house right now, so they rise a little slower when it's cool. Once you put them in the oven, they're going to pop out even more and get better. So we're going to go and I'm going to stick these in the oven and get them cooked, and then we'll come back and ice them together. See you in a minute. Okay, they're out of the oven. They're ready for icing. We're going to take this icing that we made, just give it a stir, Make sure it's nice and good and thick. See how thick that is and nice that is? Now we're just going to take and we're going to drizzle this around on these cinnamon rolls. And we're going to just go around to all of them. Put this icing on. Okay. And coat them real good. Remember, this is what keeps them fresh. Having that coat on them while they're hot. You got to do this while they're hot, fresh out of the oven. Okay? Now I'm just going to show you a few of these real quick. I won't make you watch all of it, but I want to show you while they're hot. If you want a few pecans on them, this is the time to put it on. And just drizzle a few pecans on them. And you can even candy some pecans. In other words, just heat them up with some syrup and let them sit and dry, and then put them on. That's real good also. So there's you some cinnamon pecan, and you can do some that's just plain. Whatever you think, would be good. You can do some little pieces of chopped up cherries and all that. So we're going to be making a bunch of goodies like that and teaching you all about it. But I'm going to get the rest of these icing, and I'll show you the finished product in just a moment. All right, look at here. Look at these beautiful babies. I put some pecans on them, a little extra one on this one. And let's just see what we have here. They're still really warm right now. So I'm going to see if I can cut this real gently because I don't want to smush them. Let's see what we can do here. They're so soft and warm. Look at all that. Look how nice that looks with all the different layers. And I wish you could just feel them. They're so soft and ready to be eaten with a nice, looky here what we have. We have a cup of coffee and a cinnamon roll. And boy, you just can't beat that, can you? I hope you enjoy this recipe. If you have any questions and what have you, just leave me a comment. Let me know after you fix it how it turned out for you, and if you have any ideas or even how to make things better. But I just look forward to being able to share these recipes with y'all. If you would please just remember to, just hit that subscribe button, the like button. That helps. That helps the channel, as you know. Everyone says it on their channels, and I just really appreciate it. And just remember, every time that you speak our name, Giagatt, you're literally speaking a blessing. The name Giagatt means God is absolutely good all the time. And, we just wanted this channel to be a blessing to so many and share this knowledge of our love for food, love for cooking, and our love for God. And I truly hope you enjoyed this recipe, and we'll see you the next time in our kitchen. God bless you.